It's not working?
No.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go. Another perfect start.
Amazing. Well, happy Easter, everybody. Welcome, weirdos. It's me, Daniel.
I'm Jake. Happy Easter.
So,
Happy isolated. Fucking
isolated
sad.
Easter. Easter isolation.
You know, our Savior and Lord was tortured and crucified. I mean, hanging out and watching Netflix isn't so bad. Just saying.
Yeah, no. And you know what? Feeling blessed. Because our octogenarian aunt or cousin, Sally.
Died. No.
No.
That didn't.
Jake.
I'm sorry. It's just,
She was-
I just want to set the tone for the podcast.
She
in case
was
we have any
on a
new
cruise
listeners.
ship. She was on a cruise ship here in Australia. And she was going to come to my house instead of flying home because she has this she's terrified of flying. And she was going to come and just wait it out at our place. Which
your wife, God bless her heart, was willing to do.
Oh, yeah, she was. But, I mean,
Chrissy would
I
have lost her
wasn't.
mind. Yeah.
I couldn't.
Look, I
You
love
know,
Sally. I love cousin Sally, but I can't. I can't live with her for a night. I can't have her as a guest in the house for a night. I mean, I would put her up at. I would pay for her hotel until I ran out of money.
Well, the government would pay for her hotel here. But what I was going to say is, she was going to come and stay with us, and really, that would be a very bad idea. Mainly because she would have been stuck here for months, like up to 6
Now, this
months
wasn't.
or something.
I mean, this wasn't entirely Sally's fault. Like the thing is, she got on. She booked like a round.
Oh yeah, it was a round the world thing. Like,
She
was
started
on that
before
ship
Christmas, I think.
Yeah, like she was on there for months and months. So it's not like she was being irresponsible, but she was still on a cruise ship, and you know the shit hit the fan. Anyway, so she was going to come and stay here for I think at that time we thought it was going to be weeks before things would come back to normal, but it turned out that it was going to be months, and she decided to go back to England on the ship. So she's been on there for another month now.
Yeah.
And she's now got shingles. And
Oh, you're kidding! How did you hear this? I haven't heard that.
mom got an email from her. She's now got shingles, and she said she's oozing. And I was like, God is so good to me.
Because
I
you'd be
could
doing
not-
the wound care.
I could not.
Because
handle
you can't
that.
go to a doctor. Nobody's going. There's no doctor.
Well,
I mean,
no, and
you can go to.
she's.
I want to qualify
she's not
that
a
statement.
citizen here.
If you're having a heart attack, go to the hospital. I know the COVID thing is scary, but that is
I know,
one
but
thing that we're seeing, like
that's-
people coming in way too late. So
It's so accessible when you are from the place.
but if you have shingles, I mean, and you have shingles, you're not going to go to the hospital. They're not going to the hospital. So what's happening is she would go to the closest medical professional to a doctor that she was in proximity of, and that would be you, the veterinarian. And you would be treating her shingles.
No, I wouldn't, though. That's the thing. I think
Did
God
you say
knew
where the
that-
shingles are?
That the best thing for both of us was that she doesn't come and stay here, because she would have been treated like a leper.
Is
and she
anybody
would have
sick
been
on her
miserable.
boat? She's still on the boat, I assume.
She's quarantined. Yeah, she's quarantined to her room, and I don't know whether. I think it's because of the shingles, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of all the
So-
things, imagine being the poor nurse or doctor on that boat.
Oh.
I would hate
Well,
that.
I mean, everyone else flew home, so she's like one of 20 people on the whole.
Oh,
cruise
on the
ship.
Queen Mary.
Yeah,
So they have like the ghost. It's almost like the Mary Celeste. It's like just a
kind
ship.
of. It's the
If
Queen
they
Mary
do
Celeste.
get sick, they could end up, because it's like a floating nursing
I'm
home
going to sneeze because my pop filter was. I'm
covered in dust and cat hair. But what I was thinking is like we could be on to the next big like mystery.
It really was covered in dust and cat hair.
Yeah, everything at your house is. But if they got sick, like say the 20 people on the boat died, including the crew,
Yeah.
The missing Queen Mary would be an incredible story.
Well,
Although
I mean,
I don't want that to happen, obviously.
I don't think that it would go missing, though, because it's a huge ship, and it's not like they're going to run aground in the middle of the ocean.
I would be absolutely shocked if they let them stop.
Oh, no.
If they
Well,
let them
they're
into
going to stop,
Southampton.
but they're going to fly her directly home.
I can't imagine they'll let anyone off that boat.
Well, you know what?
The world
There are
is
worse places to be stuck. You know, like
oh yeah.
people.
No, it's a
people-
big boat with the big. You know, they probably have food supplies for thousands of people, and they have 20 people on board.
Yeah.
You know, if anything, if none of them are sick, it's probably the safest place in the world to be
Well,
right
yeah,
now.
Exactly. I mean, it's not a great place to have shingles, but
There is
nowhere
no
really
great place to have shingles. I would say if you had to get it somewhere, the forearm. But
Yeah, then
you know where it's gonna
easily
get
scratched.
me in the eye or the ass. I know my asshole's gonna have shingles on it at some point. It's just the way things have been going.
Look, Doctor Proctologist, I am sure that I've got shingles of my anus. No, Doctor Jake. In fact, that's genital warts. What
you need.
What
to
have you
wash
been
your
doing?
hands more often.
What have you been up to?
The only patient. Can I tell this story? Yes.
I
The
don't
only
think
patient who's
so.
ever asked me. The only patient who's ever hit on me was when I was doing obstetrics, and she was pregnant and had the worst case of genital warts I've ever seen.
Oh.
To the point that we had to book her for a C-section. And she asked me out on a date. And I was like, no,
No.
I'm good.
Thank you. No.
I
I mean, I can handle the
genital
genital warts, but the cervical cancer in 20 years' time is just not what I'm willing to go through.
Look, I'm probably going to have to go through this with my dad at some point. I'm just not. I can't do it twice.
Yeah. No, when it's like, I know that you're a sure thing, but you're also a sure thing for a miserable second half of my life.
You know that saying, if she smokes, she pokes. But what about if it's lumpy, she's humpy? Oh, sorry, everyone. If
I'm
you
doing a
know
bunch of-
what this podcast is about.
I'm doing some voiceovers for work, and they were like, "How are you? Like, is your sound quality so good? Because everyone else is just using those boom microphones." And I was like, "Oh, I made the mistake. Oh, I do a podcast with my brother. Oh, that's amazing. What's it called? Oh, I can't tell you that.
You know
I
what?
can't tell you." They're like, "Oh no, what's it about?" And I was like, "Well, it's about true crime, but we really just end up talking about filth." And then she's like, "Oh, I love true crime. Tell me what's the name of it?"
No,
And I
this
was
isn't.
like, "Oh no! You really don't want to hear it."
If you're
we end up just talking
if
about
you're one of
like,
Dan's superiors at work, just turn this off right now before you
Right
have
now
to
is
before
the
he
time.
loses his job. This is your out.
She was like, "Oh well, maybe one day you can tell me." And I was like, "Yeah, maybe one day. Definitely after my probation period is over."
Yeah.
I'll screen it with HR.
You know what? It's called Serial. My brother's voice is really high and feminine.
Yes.
Calls himself Phoebe Judge. It's is that what hers is, or is she criminal? I can't remember. Anyway,
I don't know. I just remember. They'll probably think that I'm Ahmed or whatever his name was. They'll be like, he was
the
in
murderer?
prison? Yeah, the
Yeah.
murderer.
yeah, the alleged.
Oh, my goodness. So my family has been camping in the backyard
Yeah, without
so-
you.
without me.
Hashtag
Thankfully.
included.
Again, feeling blessed. So
Hashtag Easter blessings, everyone.
also, I'm sorry that the sound of the tractor, my son is driving it up and down the hill. That's how he camps. But
So just
The,
have that paramedic on speed dial.
yeah, Elijah,
There's gonna
the mower's on.
gonna be a tractor.
Don't get the hand. Don't put your hand in. Oh no.
gonna have to call again.
Oh well.
try and find those
Oh, well.
fingers, honey.
Anyway, so they're down camping at the moment, and I have been self-isolating from my family. And they initially it was just one night, and then yesterday they decided that Auntie would come over and they would have another night down at the camp, but they spent the entire day at the camp as well. So what am I to do except for watch the entire season of The Staircase?
Oh yeah, what'd you think of it?
Oh, so good. I mean,
It's very
a little bit drawn out, but especially when you watch it like all at once.
yeah, it's a bit of a longer. I mean, back
13 hours of watching.
How old is that show? Was made in like 2001, wasn't it?
Well, that's when he was convicted, but then there's like a part 2, I guess, kind of.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's a real fucking shocker, that show. So spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched it yet. But it's so frustrating the way that the justice system works, especially in the States, and I'm sure it's everywhere, where they have the district attorney. Like, wouldn't everyone just want to be in search of the truth? So
no, because they track their stats, right? Now,
I know. So they've got like KPIs. They must have key performance indicators for the DA's office that they have to convict so many people in order to, appropriately do their job.
Their district attorney is elected, right? That's an elected position. So what they do is the election is based on performance in court. So the DAs, now it's just the way the system works. It's not a perfect system, but they won't try anything unless there's almost, solid, like completely solid evidence. Because it's really embarrassing for them.
There was no solid evidence in this case.
And that case is why they've changed, I think, from my understanding, is a lot to do with why they've changed to being so gun-shy when it comes to prosecuting a case that the police have put together. Now, some of them will do it anyway, but it's a huge embarrassment when they lose a case because, in theory, when the police have done their job appropriately, the police are supposed to arrest the right person for the crime. So that you should have a really high percentage of your cases going to trial coming back guilty. In most cases, it sounds like from the last series of Serial, they never go to court. They just get settled out of court, with a deal or whatever with the prosecutor. And
I know,
defense.
but like if there's no evidence to say that somebody's guilty, shouldn't they just assume, like what? I thought that they assumed that you were innocent until proven guilty, but they spend so much time.
Well, now they're government. They're all government,
they spend so
right?
much time trying to prove, like they're making things up in order to prove that this guy is guilty. Like
they did that CAD, like computer animated reconstruction. Is this the case where that was like the first one? It shows the guy falling or the person getting pushed down the stairs, and they used like.
Well, they said that. I muted mine to sneeze, but that's fine. You just sneezed directly into the microphone.
The listeners muted again. You missed the second sneeze. Sorry, everyone. I hope you weren't trying to have a snooze while listening to this podcast.
Well, I mean, everyone does. I mean, if you're going to snooze, this would be the podcast to do it. It was just bullshit. They said that he beat her on the head with a blow poke. And then even when they found the blow poke, it wasn't dismissed. It wasn't like, oh yeah, okay, maybe she did just fall. I mean, things happen.
I have a feeling that you were getting an echo from my headphones, so I just turned the volume down. Sorry.
Oh, good.
Good.
Things happen, and sometimes they just don't make sense, but it doesn't automatically mean that it's murder. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's right.
I thought you meant no.
I mean, how many people?
I was like, what? How
okay, remember, I won't say the last name, but remember our neighbor Doug who got hit by the train?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's a crazy thing to have happened. But in that case, it's like the prosecutors would have gone, well, where was the wife? Well, why wasn't she in the car? I bet she drugged him. I bet, maybe this was, I bet she got out of the car. and left him in there unconscious to get hit by the train. Because how do you get hit by a train? The warning lasts like 30 minutes. They jumped to a conclusion, and then they decided to prosecute a case based on shoddy evidence. Now, the opposite of that is O.J. Simpson. I haven't watched The People versus O.J. Simpson, but I watched. I just watched the BuzzFeed Unsolved thing about O.J.
Yeah,
and the amount of evidence. I didn't remember. I didn't remember the staggering
Simpson trial.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I don't know if it exists, but the amount of evidence. I mean, there was a glove at the scene, right? But then there was also a glove at his house that had his blood, Nicole's blood, and Ron Goldman's blood on it. And they found, what else? The hat at the scene with DNA from all three of them. And, and then later, did you know they found a knife after the trial ended after he'd moved out of that house? Somebody found a knife on the property, hidden on the property.
That's the thing, though. Like, there's murder, which is clearly murder, right? And then there's these situations where, yeah, it could be potentially murder, but it would be the last thing.
Could be an accident too.
Yeah, like the person falling down the stairs. The reason why they said it was murder is because she had cuts and stuff on her head. Look, that happens sometimes.
There was
you know what I mean?
There was a guy in, I won't say where it was, but he was a radiologist, and they were having a national meeting in his town, and they were hosting a party at a friend's house, and this guy was found at the bottom of the stairs. He'd gotten quite drunk over the night, found at the bottom of the stairs dead. He had a huge gash in his head, but it hadn't bled much. So the thought was that he had a heart attack at the top of the stairs and then fell down the stairs and sliced his head open falling down the stairs. But obviously you can slice your head open falling down the stairs because nobody, if it had been a murder, there would have been witnesses. There were like 300 people at the party.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying somebody didn't push him down the stairs, but you can slice your head open falling down a staircase.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
yeah.
I've sliced my head open just bopping it on the side of my car. I don't know how I cut myself, but it bleeds like stick.
It's just one of these things that I'm just like, why? Like, that would have been millions of dollars worth of taxpayer money, right? To try this person.
All seems like a bit of a drop in the bucket now.
Oh, I know. Yeah, $29 trillion gajillion dollars.
It's just going to be impossible to live in the post-pandemic world too. I'm trying to make the most out of this because I'm like, the taxes are going to take everything we have. They're going to take. They're going to have to repossess our house. They're going to have to take our car.
Why would they
no
repossess your house though? I think you're just worried about something that's stupid.
Well, I'm not. If they do, they do. But they can never pay. They'd have to resell things you own, or just take your entire bank account.
You might get a good deal out of it then. Let them take your house and then buy it back for like $10,000.
It's true. They're not going to, if they're taking everybody's, they're not going to be able to sell them all back.
It's not like, yeah, exactly.
But they'll increase property taxes, income taxes. There'll be inheritance tax,
Oh, they already have that though anyway. Just wouldn't
they kind
of
do. Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing you can do about that. Unless you're going to run for office, in which case, as long as you're, speaking moistly, you're going to do just
That was
fine.
hilarious. Speaking moistly.
That was like a legitimately catchy song.
It was pretty good.
I love me a bit of Songify.
Stay 2 meters apart, speaking moistly.
Where did you even find that?
I have no idea. I think somebody on Twitter posted it. It was really good.
It's really funny.
And now in Canada, we've done okay in New Brunswick. Actually, we didn't have any new cases today, but people have this
they haven't
false
tested
sense.
in 5 days.
No, they haven't tested a lot. That's true, but people have a false sense that everything's back to normal now. Must be. It's Easter. So, Mom is up giving food to Gibette and Stephen, cooking for them and dropping it. Gibette has cancer, as you know, and Stephen's crazy. But so she had put in an order for stuff from Costco because she won't go to the store, and it never arrived. But she was really concerned it would be there sitting outside and go bad. So I went over today to see if it was there, and I drove the slow way home to her house, and the stores are packed. There are like the superstore. There are families going in. Nobody's social distancing. Nobody's giving a shit. Like, nobody cares. And
here,
the teenagers are all having sleepovers at each other's houses, and I'm just like, man. I said, Chrissy, this isn't good. I might have to move out again. I tried moving out.
Like,
as you know, I tried moving out last week.
And I called it 5 million% that you wouldn't last fail. 2 days. Yeah,
I would have been fine. I mean, I would have watched TV and chilled.
No, but you didn't do any of that.
Well, I did for a week.
Did you fix Mom's TV downstairs?
In the basement? Or no, the main TV? No, couldn't fix it.
Shame.
Never called Bell. I mean, I only watch, to be honest, I watch Apple TV.
Same.
Netflix.
Yeah,
YouTube.
I've canceled my cable. I think I told you that. I canceled cable. And then, funnily enough, I was like, well, because we were paying $100 a month for cable television, not internet, nothing like included, just for the television. And I was like, nah, it's fine. I don't want it anymore. Like we just watch streaming services now anyway. And they're like, okay, well, what can we do to get you to stay? And I was like, I don't know. Do you have anything for $10? And they're like, yeah, you can have the exact same package that you have right now for $10 a month. I was like, what? What the fuck? What the fuck? Fuck you. What? Can I have back pay? Can you pay me back?
Yeah. No, I meant you have to pay me $10 a month. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll pay $10 a month to watch cable because you watch the advertisements, and that's how we make our real money.
Well, because what actually happened was that they scaled it back, and it was just the free-to-air television channels and then a few little extra ones that they threw in, and it was going to be $10 a month. But then the COVID-19 thing happened, and they were like, everyone gets all the channels. So I was like, oh, well, that was good timing for me. I guess there's like a silver lining to this shit show.
There has been some corporate goodwill happening, which is kind of nice. People are fucking broke. And the thing is, it's that everyone is unemployed. We've got like a 30% unemployment rate. So, I mean, what can you do? You can cancel their cable and you can call in their debts and say they owe their mortgage or whatever. But how far ahead are you going to get? What are you going to tie them up in court for whatever shitty, meager belongings they have left? So I think we're all just going to have to take it on the chin and say, yeah, this is a write-off. This year doesn't exist. And then once there's a vaccine.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, if you've been laid off because of COVID-19, that's not a reflection of you as a person or your skill level. It's just that this is how the world is right now.
Although it might be. Maybe your boss has been waiting for a good reason to get rid of you. So, don't get cocky.
A lot of legal protection for people. They can't just fire you. They have to make the position redundant. Or they have to keep the position for you to come back to in 6 months or whatever.
Now, we did an episode with Brent, but it turned into, I don't think he had headphones on, so it turned into it sounded like it was recorded in a gymnasium. Really echoey.
Well, worse than that, because it wasn't.
Yeah. Did it end up on air, or did you take it back down?
12 people listened to it before I took it down, because I listened to it and I was like, I can't even do this.
It was hard to listen to. I was one of the 12.
Yeah. Sorry. I listened to it 6 times thinking that it might get better each time. It didn't. It's like watching the Titanic and hoping that Jack stays on the little floating doorknob or whatever that they did.
It was like a floating backboard of a bed or something. They did a Mythbusters episode about that and proved that they could have both been on it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about fictional television shows. Like, had the Titanic actually existed, they it would potentially had a different outcome.
You know what the best part of that movie was, though?
The boobs?
Yeah, the tits. Kate Winslet's tits.
It's funny because I haven't watched that movie. When did that come out?
1996, I think. I was in high school.
Yeah, a really long time ago. And I think I might have been too young to care about the boobs, and I don't think I've really watched it since it came out.
Yeah,
So
I'm not, as you know, I don't like celebrities at all. I think they're all completely full of shit. But
I really like movies.
I love movies.
There wouldn't be any movies if there weren't celebrities.
It's true. It's true. It isn't necessarily true. There are probably enough great actors in the world that you could just hire new actors every time you made a movie and still sell that movie. Having said that,
there would be no real consistency, though, and you wouldn't know for sure if they were going to be any good. That's why
the
actors
best acting
get famous.
The best acting I've ever seen, and I stick to this point, Michael Caine in A Muppet Christmas Carol. How he pulled off being Scrooge.
Famous, though. Yeah,
no, I know. I'm negating my own point.
Yeah, he's a celebrity.
Although, listen, I just saw him in. Now tonight we watched I'm not sure if it was appointed, nominated for an Oscar or not. It was called Journey 2.
Journey to the Center of the Earth. With Dwayne The Rock
part
Johnson.
2 of that with Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Michael Caine.
The Tooth Fairy.
Yes, and I don't feel like his acting was very good in it. I also felt the CGI was a little bit overly brightened.
Well, it's a sequel to a movie that was never really all that great in the first place.
Was the first one, though, the one with Will Ferrell?
No.
He's delightful.
You're thinking of the Land of the Forgotten.
Yeah, Land of the Lost. Yeah, Land of the Lost. That was quite a funny movie.
Yeah, that was really funny.
And Danny McBride is quite funny. But, it's not that I don't like their acting. I don't mean to say that. Yeah. Yeah, it was funny. It was cute. Very juvenile. It was right up my alley. But, it's not that I dislike their acting and their roles that they play. It's that in person, they're so insufferable and they're all so convinced that they're right about everything. And they're not.
Oh, my gosh. Who does that remind me of?
Look, I admit that I'm wrong about a lot of stuff.
Name one.
I thought I don't have SARS yet. I thought I would by now.
Where are you? Where are we recording this from?
I'm home. I'm in my house in West Memphis.
What? No, oh, fuck. Well, I guess it's your problem.
Well, they know who I am. But the thing with the thing that's happening in our hospital right now, it's not too bad. We do have a couple cases, but you never know when somebody comes in has it, right? It's impossible to know because there's community spread and that kind of thing. So we on the other day, I ended up in the unenviable position for any radiologist of having to run a code on somebody who crashed in the radiology department with no gear on. And I was like, I haven't intubated somebody in, I would say, 15 to 20 years. And now I have to intubate this person with no gear on in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah. Did you get the tube in, though?
I got an oral airway in. And put her on high flow oxygen, which is also aerosol generating. But she had like a seizure or something, so it wasn't like a full cardiorespiratory arrest. She was
it's
aspirating and
like
stuff.
Like kudu or Ebola.
Yeah, well, and then everyone was like, do we know if she has it? They're like, well, she didn't come over. It says droplet precautions. I was like, well, what the fuck? Why didn't you tell me that before I did all this?
But everybody is a droplet precaution at the moment, I would say.
Well, you don't know. Anyway, that's been stressing me out a little bit because I was definitely I was really exposed, to this person. But
you were exposed?
Well, she wasn't conscious, so
you got to check yourself before you wreck yourself, Jake.
I'm hoping that she made out okay. She seemed to be coming around when we sent her back to the emergency department. But anyway, it was just one of those stressful situations. And my heart goes out to the emergency docs and nurses who are stuck in that same situation over and over. Because, man,
well, that will soon be you.
By the time they come to the ICU, everybody's ready for it. You know what? You're ready. You're wearing the gear before they even get there. But when you're in the emerge and the hospital's saying you only have one mask all day and it's not an N95 mask and you're just, you're kind of out there in the breeze, and a patient comes in you've never heard of and needs to be intubated, you're like, well, I guess I'll just hope for the best.
Well, no, you could do that, or
Well, you
could
can take the time to get your gear on, but it takes
Yeah, or
5
you
minutes if you can find the gear.
That's
very frustrating.
that's the sign of the times, man.
Yeah,
They,
but 5
they're
minutes isn't really
asking
fair to the
for-
patient because that's 5
they're
minutes their
asking
brain
for-
doesn't have any oxygen.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's okay.
Well,
That's okay.
I think I might have
I
made
mean-
the wrong choice, but the lady lived, so for her it was a good choice. I guess she
They're
got lucky.
they're putting out a call for veterinarians to volunteer for, if this gets worse, for veterinarians to take over some of the emergency work with humans.
Really?
And, yeah.
How
And I was
bad
like,
is it?
Well,
I mean,
here
how
they're
bad
thinking-
does it have to get before they're using veterinarians?
No, well, first of all, I don't even work with animals anymore, and I don't want to spend time with my family camping. So
It was-
the likelihood
it
of
was
me
then that they-
sacrificing my time for other human beings is very limited, very low.
Mr. Prime Minister, after the elections were held and you forced everyone to go out and vote, unfortunately, 75% of the population now has COVID-19, and we're reduced to 0% medical staff. We're
No,
recommending
we,
you use the
well-
veterinarians. It was
here's the
then that
thing.
he
I
knew
don't know-
he'd fucked up.
I don't know how bad Australia is. I don't, because I feel like the government covers up a lot. They, they said that it wasn't so bad. We were still sending our children to school. The schools are still open now, it's school holidays now, but like they're like everyone can still go to school, especially if you're an essential worker. Blah 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 blah. And then I think that. So I don't know whether they're just making the numbers look better than they are. But right now we only have like 6,000 cases in Australia, and they're saying that we might eliminate it completely from Australia if we continue this lockdown for another 6 months.
See,
So
but
it will
that's
just
counting on people not to be fucking idiots. And
idiots.
They
Yeah,
just
exactly.
are idiots. And it comes
Yeah.
from the top down. It's not necessarily their fault. I mean, Justin Trudeau this weekend, again, my favorite guy to pick on because he's such a fucking dumbass. So this weekend said, I know it's going to be very hard for you to, avoid your family over the Easter weekend, but it's what we have to do. We're all in this together. They said, what are you going to do over the Easter weekend? I'm going to Quebec to be with my family.
No.
Yes. Yes, he did.
Hold on. I'm just trying to.
These are the things
There you go.
we know to prevent you from speaking moistly. Speaking moistly. 10 meters apart. Speaking moistly.
I love
It is. That's really good.
Speaking.
It reminds me of the bad lip reading with Yoda. What the hell was that? The seagulls? Seagulls. I'm going to peck your eyes or something. It was really funny.
So yeah, I agree. Like I think it does depend a lot on the people. And the thing here is that there are people who are very smart and very knowledgeable and want to do the best for society, and then there are it's really divided into two groups. This in Australia, the normal people and the bogans. And the bogans are still out like squealing their tires going down the road and just
Well, that's
all together just being fucktards and like getting together and like we'll sit outside and we'll have a beer. It's okay because we're outside.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I get it. Like I
Look.
get it. It's boring, and we're not like we've got our auntie over. Like we're doing this. I'm a hypocrite. That's the thing. But that's the
Yeah.
problem.
Is
Is that there's two people. The people who are me, and then there's everyone
the normal
else.
people, the smart people. So I had a bit of a little minor meltdown today because Jack's grandmother was like, "Oh, I've got Easter stuff for Jack. I want to bring it over to him." And I said, "You can't come over. I've been in the hospital. I can make you sick. You could die." "Oh, come on now." She said, "I've been to everybody's house today." It's like, no, you can't come in. I said, you can leave it at the door, and we'll stand in the door when you're in the driveway, and we'll wave to you. But you can't come anywhere near us.
I've been to everyone's house. Everything's fine. It's
She's
like
visited
Boris
all the
Johnson, who-
grandkids, all like 40
Yeah.
grandkids. Fuck, what are you doing? What?
Boris Johnson, when he's like, yeah, I was at the hospital today. I shook everyone's hand. 10 days
thank you.
later.
Thanks, Boris. Yeah. Now, I actually quite like. I don't like. Look, I don't dislike Donald Trump. We're in a different world from that, right? But he did cut off our supply of masks. So right now, I'm not super happy with him.
Well, no,
because
I
our
think
masks are
they've
manufactured
rectified
in
that,
the States. No, there's another thing. They're holding them up at the border. Anyway, it is what it is. He's taking care of Americans. That's his job. But still, Canadians and Americans we're kind of like your little brother. You're supposed to look out for us, and we will try to do our best to look out for you if it ever comes down to it.
Like by
9/11.
supplying pulp and paper for your masks.
Well, Afghanistan, we went there with you. It was maybe not super useful since he was in Pakistan, but we tried. We tried. A lot of brave people lost their lives from our country to because we're friends, we're brothers, we're a team. And,
Mainly from dehydration and lack of supplies.
I was very disappointed anyway that he wanted to cut off the masks from Canada, especially. Mostly because my ass will be grass. But Boris Johnson, a lot of people say he's just like Donald Trump and that kind of thing. But I quite like him. I think he's well-spoken. He might be a conservative politician, but he's not.
He only sounds well-spoken because he talks like a British person, Like,
no, but he said some nice, like...
everybody's hand. Oh, British.
Yeah, but he does say stuff like, we have to give a large round of applause to the NHS. They've done a terrific job. And I'm like, I don't know what the NHS is, but that's a nice sentiment.
National Health
Scheme. I know it is service, I think.
Service?
But Donald Trump is, he's not out there going, we've got doctors doing the greatest job in the world, terrific people, terrific guys.
I know the
A1. We got the best. We got the best doctors. He's not giving anyone a compliment. He's like, I'm doing a great job. It's I'm a top mind. I'm the top mind. You're lucky to have. Like I don't dislike him, but he's also got that kind of celebrity, like know-it-all kind of. Anyway, I'm more mad about the masks, I think. But at least Boris, I feel bad for him. He was really fucking sick. And I'm glad he survived. I'm glad he made it.
Well, I think it was actually good in a way, like that he got sick, but that he's also recovered, because it really puts it into people's minds that this is a real thing, and even people who are really well protected, and he was shaking everyone's hand, but even those high-profile people can get this sickness. So.
Yeah, it's not an honor to shake your hand when you're sick with COVID-19. Please don't shake my hand.
No, that's right. I've seen a lot of memes come out, and it's showing him with like this really nice haircut. He's like, yes, it was medically necessary to style your hair while you were on the ventilator.
Well, Justin Trudeau's been dyeing his own hair. I don't know if you could tell from the video, but he's gone to like.
I'm going to dye my hair. I think it's like the quarantine thing to do.
But you're going to do it in a color, like a fun color, you mean?
No, I've ordered because I have to. I think this is why Australia is doing well. Everything can be delivered to your door and always has been. So we can get groceries delivered. You can get anything delivered from the chemist. You can, order anything, and it's just the company will deliver it. So. Right. I ordered, and to get that delivery, you have to spend a certain amount of money. So it's a good business decision, but also it really helps in this current climate. So I went to Chemist Warehouse, and I was like, okay, I need toothpicks, my little floss sticks, and I need some more deodorant, and I need some more shower gel, and I need cold and flu tablets because I feel like rubbish, and this cough is just unending.
Oh, yeah. Wait, you've been sick, haven't you?
Oh, I was so sick. I've never been...
You probably had coronavirus, dude.
Well, no, I don't know. I was like, I was really sick, though. But it was more like, I didn't have a cough. It was just like aches and pains and fever.
Okay, well, I just want to point something out. You've been in isolation. You've seen nobody. So if you had aches and pains and a fever, you probably got coronavirus from that pair of underpants from Wuhan.
I mean, it did cross my mind, but I know I've been in isolation for 3 weeks.
So the family, one of the families here that tested positive, where everybody's sick and people are in the ICU, it was on the news today, had been in total isolation, and she is an absolute germaphobe. She washes her hands about 60 times a day to be in the ICU.
Well, I've been cleaning everything. Like, I clean all the doorknobs and everything. Like, and anything that comes in the house, I wipe down.
Yeah.
But no one else in the house was sick. I honestly, I don't know how. I don't think it was coronavirus. But I also don't know how it would have come in, because Erin is the only person who leaves the house. And she hasn't been sick. And I wasn't so sick that I couldn't work, so I was still working from home. I just felt really terrible.
Maybe you ate something.
No, it felt like the flu. Like, it felt like aches and pains. And then the migraine came, and the migraine makes me feel sick to my tummy. And then I take all the pills, and the pills make me feel even worse because my stomach gets upset. And anyway, it's a whole thing. But the pain in my muscles was what made it really bad. But if I had to work away from home and it wasn't COVID-19 time, I would have had to call in sick. But because I was working from home, I was able to kind of just
you can get through a lot more.
Yeah. So and I was scared. I think that's the other thing. I was scared to call in sick because
you don't want to get fired.
I don't want to get fired.
Now, I'm scared of getting sick for two reasons. One is that you never know, right? Like, I've had a sniffle since I became a father.
Junior high. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had sinus issues. I'm always sniffling and sneezing and stuff, as recently demonstrated on this podcast. So I never know. Like, the last thing I want to do is go in and be like fucking what's her name? Salmonella Mary. What'd they call her? Typhoid Mary.
Salmonella Susan.
Salmonella Susie. Spreading the gospel of COVID around, the COVIDians.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like everybody I've heard from who's had this it's been the sickest they've been in their life, and I'm like, I just got a drippy nose.
I'm sure
I wouldn't test me if I came. I wouldn't even go to Emerge. Anyway, I don't have a drippy nose right now, but it happens all the time.
I feel like you've got one shot,
one opportunity,
So
to seize everything you ever wanted,
and they test you, and it's negative. The next time you're sick, they're not going to test you again. I feel like. I mean, they're probably not going to test you in the first place, and then let alone a second time.
Now, usually we catch up on everything that's happened in the interval since the last podcast, but nothing has fucking happened.
Nothing.
I went back to work. I did live at Mom's house for a week. It wasn't.
You didn't isolate. Mom said that you still came over at nighttime.
Well, I stood outside wearing a mask. Talk to people. No touching. 2 meters apart. Didn't speak moistly at them. What else can you do, really? But the thing is that Mom and Chrissy...
What is the term? Like, droplets? Or
he's I don't know. It's like playing basketball with a kid with Down syndrome and calling him out for double dribbling. You just can't. He just does word salad.
Speaking moistly.
It's just constant words coming out of the man's mouth that make no sense.
Speaking moistly. There really is nothing happening
so
in the world.
They were banning plastic bottles, and they asked him, Mr. Trudeau, what are you and your family doing now that you are banning plastic bottles? What are you doing to help the environment? And he said, we have changed to using the water drinking box cardboard kind of thing. The fuck?
The cardboard drinking box, cardboard kind of thing.
Water box, drinking box, cardboard.
It's like Homer Simpson, the food shoveling thing.
The
spoon
thing you use to scoop food.
The food shovel.
One new thing I've taken on because we've gone to a pod system, and we're pod people now. Because as I said, we don't know when somebody's sick, so we're going to get sick. Somebody's going to get sick. So we've cut up all our teams into groups, so I only work when my pod is working.
Yeah, and that's what they do here too.
As you know, we've canceled all our non-emergency stuff. Other than cancer, we're still doing cancer stuff. But my income is down to 20% of what it was last year.
Yeah. Well, they're thinking about putting doctors on a salary, though, right?
Yeah, that's what they're going to probably try to do. But the salary will be, 50% of what I made, and that'll be for the rest of my life. It's like
50% of a small fortune is still.
What's the guy in the Bible who traded his birthright for stew? Was that Esau?
What? I don't think so.
I
think did he cover his arms in lamb's wool because his
Jacob
brother's
did.
arms were hairy?
Yeah, Esau and Jacob. That's right. He came down from hunting and he was so hungry that he wanted stew, and Jacob was like, stew.
I think you've mixed up this Bible story.
Could be. There was something about a lion's den, and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were there. And
I think
anyway, then as everyone knows, Jesus arose on Sunday, and then the Easter Bunny comes, and you get chocolate eggs.
One day
the
a
Bible
year, the
surmised.
bunny will lay eggs.
Sorry, Pastor Rob. That's the best synopsis of the entire Bible I can give. There was Adam and Eve, and one of them knew a guy who had a boat, and there was a flood, and Noah, and there were animals and twins, and then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego happened.
And the pillars of salt.
Yes, that's right. If you come out of the lion's den, but you look back at it, you become a pillar of salt.
Yeah, I do remember the stories, but only
I believe part of it had to do with the Philosopher's Stone, and that you had to look into a mirror, and the mirror only showed you what you wanted to see.
Yes.
There was a spider called Mab.
Oh my gosh! Stop!
And then the eagles flew them home from Mount Doom. The end.
Oh my gosh!
That was the Old Testament. That was Old Testament stuff. Did it ever bother you at the end of Lord of the Rings? It didn't.
Yeah,
I know
like,
this
why
has
didn't
been
they
discussed.
just fly 'em
Why
there in
didn't the
the
eagles
first
fly
place?
them there?
Yeah.
A lot of this could have been avoided. I mean, they flew them all
because
the way home.
I think
They flew them
because
all the
those
way back to
flying
Rivendell.
dragon things with the weird wings would have killed them, so they had to get rid of those flying dragon things before they could get the things there. So they had to kill all the ring wraiths before they could get
then, you know
fly
what?
there.
I wish that had been laid out a little bit better, because that's actually a pretty good reason. That's a pretty good reason. Although the eagles survived all that time. So we just watched the second Harry Potter movie. That was our movie night last night.
Mm-hmm.
It's I can't believe how cheesy and poorly done it is.
But they've got
I forgot.
Moaning Myrtle?
Yeah, she was good. I mean, some of it was great, but the graphics were way worse than the first one.
Follow the spiders. If I were to say one thing, it would be to follow the spiders.
What are you doing here in Knockturd Alley? Skulking around Knockturd Alley.
You're a wizard, Harry. Now give me all your money.
But the blue screen scenes, like the Quidditch match, so
pretty
cheesy.
terrible. I always thought, like, why did they put the Quidditch in there? It was
And like
dumb.
the CGI Harry Potter with no facial features was shockingly bad too. And I don't remember when I saw it. I remember just being full of wonder. And I was a medical student when that came out. It wasn't like it was a new thing. I wasn't like a kid. I was a kid compared to what I am now, which is a fat old oaf. But I really liked it at the time. Now I went back and watched it, and I was like, man, this is terrible. And the acting wasn't that good in that one.
No, the acting was
Draco
terrible
Malfoy.
until like the last 2 or 3 movies.
Nice try, Potter. Better luck next time, Potter.
You have to watch I think it's called a very hairy or a very wizarding musical, and it's like this big. It's really funny. You should watch it.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I think it's by Star Kids. It's a guy from Glee who has made it, and it's really, really funny.
Okay, I'll definitely watch it.
I'll send you a clip. The Cho Chang clip is hilarious.
I really like Harry Potter. I'm surprised, but it's been so long since I watched it.
On Audible, if you go to audible.com, we're not sponsored, but I'm paying the money every month.
Come on, Audible. You can at least give us a discount. Give us a 15% discount.
You can stream the first book of Harry Potter for free.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so that's what Audible is doing for this COVID-19. Now, that said, even though the children didn't like my version of it, because I do all the voices, they didn't like my version, so I thought maybe Stephen Fry might be a goer.
Stephen Fry's got a lovely voice, doesn't he?
Oh, he does. It's so good. The way he reads those books, any book is really good. But the kids still didn't want to listen to it.
He recorded a story for this app called Calm, and they're like, you can listen to one free story, and then if you subscribe, you get more. He did one called the Lilac Fields or something about France. I can't remember. Anyway, it's a story, a bedtime story to put you to sleep, and it works so well that I never bothered. Getting any other stories, because it's just like, man, I'm asleep within the first 2 minutes. I don't need to hear how this ends.
Well, you should go on Spotify, go to Caroline ASMR, and go to Sleep Spa. And let me tell you, it's a dream come true.
The ASMR, I'm not. It doesn't. It keeps me awake because I'm like, what am I hearing? What am I listening to?
No, you have to put a sleep timer on for like 20 to 30 minutes, and then.
But then it ends, and I'm like, you know what I put on? I've told you, Mythbusters every night.
Yeah, and that's just ridiculous.
I watch it all night. I leave it on all night, and I can sleep because I know nothing upsetting is going to happen. It's Mythbusters. It's going to be fun.
Well, they did like put a whole new cast on, which kind of sucks.
That only lasted one season, though.
Yeah,
it's over again.
Me. It's kind of like
the new cast. It's
Australia
not that they were bad guys.
It's putting on new cast.
Yeah. I don't do well with the new cast. The Top Gear, when they fired Jeremy Clarkson and then James May and Richard left, and they brought in. I mean, I like cars. I love car shows, but I just couldn't.
Yeah, it didn't have the same dynamic. People aren't watching.
I don't watch it for the cars. I watch it because
they're watching it for the LOLs.
Yeah, exactly. So I know that you probably didn't prepare a story today, but I actually did. This one's quite funny.
Okay, well, you got 8 minutes.
Okay, well, here you go. This is the story of Lawn Chair Larry. I don't know. We've never talked about this one. No, I put this together 3 weeks ago. Yeah, so here we go.
Yep.
Larry
Walters.
For listening to, Larry Walters was a truck driver in San Pedro, California. He'd always dreamed of flying, but he couldn't be an Air Force pilot because of his poor eyesight, unfortunately. He lived with his partner in relative isolation and would spend his days off sitting in a lawn chair watching the passing jets, presumably imagining what it was like to be flying one. As a teenager...
Fascinating so far.
Yeah, no, you're going to like this story. As a teenager, he began to imagine a scheme in which he would use weather balloons to fly after seeing the balloons hanging from the ceiling of a military surplus store. Side note, do you remember Roy's Military Surplus?
I love military surplus stores.
Oh, me too. Oh man, when we went to high school, army pants were a big thing, right? It was jeans or army pants. That's what you wore on your legs.
Why do they have that? Oh, is it so they can make a little bit of extra money from the surplus army supplies?
So. I assume they just have all these outlets like army surplus sales.
Because the army men don't have to buy their own army gear, right?
The army men, the soldiers, the military personnel do not. The army men. I think of little green plastic guys. No, you get equipped for free. What was disappointing to me was that when you're done in the army, you don't get to keep your gun. I was like, but fuck. that's the reason I would have joined.
Because if you finish in the military, it's because you have mental illness now because of what you've had to endure. With the fully automatic and they don't want M4. You to have your gun.
Kind of sucks though. But yeah, it is. I've said it before, but it's one of my greatest regrets was that I didn't serve my country in the military. Although now, look, I actually am serving my country because I'm in the pandemic.
I'm at home. Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's mostly about me watching Netflix and not getting sick. But when I go into the hospital, I'm there for you, whether it takes me.
I will
not.
also
So I guess I
serve
did get
my
my
country
chance
by staying at home. You're welcome, country.
You're welcome. I will have my aunt over, and I refuse to wash
And
my
look,
hands.
maybe I've already had COVID. We don't really know.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I'm not going to wash my hands
much-
after I have a shit.
no.
Maybe I already have COVID, but that's not going to stop me from going to the grocery store. Let me tell you something. Anyway.
I'm immune. I wish there was an immune test. They should send a
There is.
nationwide
Okay, here's
immunity test.
Here you go. Here's Canada at work for you. There is an immune test. It's made in Canada. It's an antibody test. It takes 5 minutes. Guess where it's available?
Where?
The United States, not Canada. Health Canada are working
Can't
from
afford
home.
it.
No, they're just not working. So could be a vaccine in 6 months now, which is great news. I really, really hope they've expedited it. I've been praying. I actually do pray, and I pray that they expedite the vaccine. Could be available in 6 months. I have nightmares that the vaccine paperwork is going to be sitting on an empty desk at Health Canada for 18 months. Well, nobody...
They're like, look, someone's going to go
Look,
back.
I was working from home. I was doing my part. I didn't know there was an application on my desk for the vaccine. And there will be no accountability. Nobody. What work were you doing from home? Just work. What work?
Just work.
Just working.
It's just work.
Just working, just like everybody.
Anyway, typing the keys.
Short story long.
Yeah. Anyway, he tied balloons to his chair. Keep going.
No, we're not there yet. You gotta listen. You gotta listen to the boring part first. In 1982,
I'm sorry.
Okay, listen. In 1982, Larry and his then girlfriend obtained 45 8-foot weather balloons and helium tanks from Toy Time Balloons, a party supply store.
Yeah, we
To
got it.
obtain the balloons without arousing suspicion, they forged a document from a film studio saying the balloons were for a commercial. The film studio was actually.
Do you remember when
Larry to do
Chicago
the trucking.
released like 5 million balloons?
Oh, we should actually, let's not talk about it. Let's do that as a story because it was an absolute tragedy. I think it caused a plane
was a
crash and stuff.
disaster.
People got lost. There was death occurred because of it. That would be a great one to do.
Yeah, it was really bad.
I almost did the molasses disaster one time, and Karen and what's her name? What's that podcast called? Jeez, I haven't listened to it in so long. The really famous one.
Oh, the good one?
My Favorite Murder.
My Favorite Murderer.
Yeah, they did the Boston molasses disaster the day before we were recording our podcast where I was going to do it. But the balloon one would be excellent. We should do that. They've probably already done it. Fuck it. I don't care.
Well, you do it. You can do it.
Yeah, I will. Okay.
Okay, done. Well, thanks for listening, guys.
No. Listen, on July 2nd, 1982, he attached Larry attached 43 of the weather balloons to a lawn chair, filled them with helium, and strapped himself to the chair. He used water jugs for ballast. This was all done in his backyard in San Pedro. He wore a parachute in case he had to bail, and he brought a pellet gun, a CB radio, beer, and sandwiches. His plan, by the way, was to fly about 30 feet in the air over the neighbors' houses. And unfortunately, he miscalculated a bit. I should mention he named the chair Inspiration 1. That was the name of his craft. Now, I would have called it Chair Force 1. I mean, it's
Opportunity.
It's obvious.
Yeah.
It's fucking obvious. No excuse. No excuse. It should have been Chair Force 1. So, like I said, he only meant to fly over people's houses, but the cable that attached him to his Jeep either snapped or was cut. I'm not sure. There are two different versions of the story. But he immediately ascended to an altitude of 16,000 feet. Obviously, it's freezing cold at 16,000 feet.
It would be.
And he was a little bit panicked, I think. He was scared of shooting the balloons with the pellet gun because he was worried that he'd upset the balance of the But
he was wearing a
chaircraft.
parachute.
He was, but he was too cold, he thought, to deploy the parachute. He was freezing cold.
I think he was just having a laugh, to be honest.
I think it started out well, and then it got quite scary. He also had intended to drift over the Mojave Desert, where, they're totally safe. There's not a lot of stuff going on there. But didn't check the weather and floated toward the Long Beach airport and ended up in the primary approach corridor for air traffic coming into the airport. He was spotted visually by 2 commercial pilots. He established contact with REACT, a citizens band radio monitoring organization, where the following conversation was recorded, and I just took this right off the internet. REACT. What information do you wish to tell the airport at this time as to your location and your difficulty? Larry. The difficulty is this was an unauthorized balloon launch, and I know I'm in a federal airspace, and I'm sure my ground crew has alerted the proper authority, but just call them and tell them I'm okay. All right. At issue was the fact that Larry was freezing cold, his hands were numb. He was also terrified that if he began shooting balloons, it would upset the balance, and then he wouldn't be able to deploy his parachute or unstrap himself from the chair in time. As he'd gotten into quite a precarious situation, however, he decided to shoot a few balloons and see what happened. Happily, he didn't end up tipping the chair, but unfortunately, after shooting 2 balloons, he dropped the pellet gun. Oh, man, that's so funny. If your mode of transportation depends on a pellet gun for descent, you fucked up.
It's poorly planned.
You fucked up
And
badly.
you didn't tie it to yourself.
No. Luckily, he had shot enough of the balloons that he began to descend, at first slowly, but then quite rapidly as he got closer to the ground. He became ensnared in power lines, which broke and caused an outage. His total flight time was only about 45 minutes. He was arrested and fined $4,000, and he appealed this, and it was reduced to $1,500. Larry went on to volunteer for the U.S. Forest Service. He got sporadic work as a security guard. After his 15-year relationship ended, he hiked into the Angeles National Forest and shot himself in the heart. I read that in too jaunty a voice. Poor Larry. Anyway, listen, there were many imitators, and most of them were successful, but this one stands out in particular for me. And I'm just going to read the Wikipedia excerpt because it's really funny. On January 13th, 2008, the Brazilian Roman Catholic priest and human rights defender Adelir Antonio de Carli lifted off from Ampere, Brazil, suspended under 600 helium-filled party balloons, and reached an altitude of 5,300 meters, 17,400 feet, before landing safely in Argentina. On April 20th, 2008, lifting off from Paranagua, Brazil, in an attempt to fly 725 kilometers inland to Dourados, Brazil, he flew using a chair suspended under 1,000 party balloons, reaching an altitude of 20,000 feet, 6,100 meters.
Goodness.
Not having checked the weather forecast, he got caught in a storm. He had a GPS but did not know how to operate it. He was last heard on the radio 8 hours after liftoff, approaching the water after flying off the coast, unable to give his position, and he crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. The lower half of his body was found by the Brazilian Navy near an offshore oil platform on July 4th, 2008. The act won him a 2008 Darwin Award.
Oh my goodness.
Listen,
I mean, the first one sounded like...
He's a man of the cloth, and he's probably a good guy.
A decent trip.
Yeah,
But,
but lucky once, not lucky twice.
yeah, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice.
Fool me again.
Shame on me.
Not gonna fool me again.
Well, thanks for listening, guys. Jake will do the other balloon thing.
What did we ever successfully? I don't think I did. I never gave a thank you to Rob. Did I? Yes, I did.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Oh, there's another podcast you should listen to if you have kids. It's okay. You'd like it though, Dan, because it's very Disney-ish. It's called Mars Patel, The Disappearance of Mars Patel. I'm not sure we talked about that. I think that episode was lost. But
the lost episode.
One of the many lost episodes. I hope this one isn't, because I like...
No,
I almost said Leisure Suit Larry. Lawn Chair Larry.
I wish that someone would email us.
Yeah,
That's
just
it.
email us anything. You're all fucking home. We know.
Oh, and this month's... just wanted to proudly say that this month's income from Patreon will be going to the COVID crisis.
Red Cross.
So again,
the American Red Cross.
well, I don't know if it will be the Red Cross, but anyway, regardless of who the charity will be, it's currently sitting at. Let me just check. $0.
$0.
So we'll just keep that in mind. We're doing our part, so
yeah.
enjoy.
Listen, stay safe, guys. We're rooting for this to end soon, so just stay inside, and maybe we can eventually get back outside.
Probably not.
All right. Well, love you, bro.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Spooky sound.